Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney,
And I'm MK.
and how are you?
I am okay. I the air is on fire again.
Right.
Canada's on fire. It's giving me migraines. No one seems to care that the world's on fire. Um, but then also because it's not bad enough that I just have anxiety all the time. Dan and I have been watching videos about, well, okay, we've been watching videos about like train routes and building like materials and stuff because the other day, okay, preface, Dan the other day goes and looks at me and goes, I have proof that vaccines don't cause autism. And I said, oh. And
So
he
does the
said,
rest of the world.
well, no, but listen, he said because if they did, Americans would have way more trains.
That is very
He was like, we
valid.
would have a high-speed rail line if vaccines
Right.
cause autism. And then I sent that message to my family group chat, and Brianna goes, yeah, I do too. Have you seen Zara and Dinosaurs? Because she's not vaccinated.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but then Dan suddenly, in that moment of that conversation, looked at me with pure horror on his face and said, oh my God, I've always been obsessed with trains. And I said, yeah, sweetheart,
Sweet
you're a
Georgia.
little bit autistic. I don't know if you know that.
Bless. Oh, bless him.
um,
Bless his heart.
yeah. So that's how we found out.
That's so adorable. That's so precious.
But we've been watching videos about like the people who make the tube maps and the reconstruction process of different buildings and stuff. And this morning, we were watching a video about the rusting that is happening to the Eiffel Tower and the fact that it needs to be like significantly rebuilt and all this stuff. And I looked at him and I go, so what you're saying to me is all of my anxiety and my reasons why I can't go to the top of the Eiffel Tower are true and I'm not wrong.
I speak of Kismet. I just listened to an episode of Keep It Weird,
Yeah.
and they talk about random stuff.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how that the material that the Eiffel Tower is made of was not ever made to withstand
No, it was
this much stuff.
literally supposed to be erected for 20 years and then taken down. It was
Yeah, and so she was like,
and
it's not safe. Like,
it's made entirely of like iron beams, which is fine, but iron is like the easiest to rust material in the world.
well, and there's whatever the other materials is
Yeah.
not iron
Yeah.
is like not well made and not meant to like
And the thing is, it was
withstand
never
things.
supposed to be long lasting. It was supposed to be
Right.
proof of aerodynamics. It was like built to
Yeah.
be tall and not knock over by the wind, and that's why it's curved and all of this stuff. And it was like basically built to prove that the people who made the Washington Monument did it wrong because the Washington Monument was so heavy and was sinking,
Mhm.
and this was for the World's Fair, and it was at the same time in the 1880s where like iron steel like latticed bridges were like all the rage and like the sexiest
Right.
thing you could be was like an architect. Of industrial architecture, not like
Yeah.
beautiful architecture. Um,
I'll say
and
those Chicago architects, though, they got it made for making beautiful buildings that aren't just
yeah,
made to be pretty. They're made like to be functional and like
yeah.
aerodynamic and stuff.
No, and that's it. And here's the thing, you can do both. Also one of the videos we watched was talking about the construction of the Tower Bridge in London and how it was specifically made to look like it was 100 years older than it actually was, so that it blended in seamlessly with the architecture around it. And then the guy literally put like a pop-up of like the sound with all of the new crazy glass buildings in London. And I literally cried. I was laughing so hard. I like couldn't function. Because we're weird and we watch videos about architects. But basically, the videos that we have watched have proved that I'm right and we are not going to the top of the Eiffel Tower because it will collapse when I'm up there.
Correct.
That
That
will be
is
the day.
valid.
That will be the day
Mhm.
that it finally can't handle it anymore and I'll die. And I'm not doing that.
I mean, look, Notre Dame burned down who's to say the Eiffel Tower won't fall tomorrow? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
we've got
Yeah.
a lot
We all
going. I mean,
we
look, Annabelle's on the loose. Who's to say what's
Oh
gonna
my
happen
God.
next?
The fact that they lost her, unreal.
I
Unbelievable.
she's gonna show up at my door, and I'm just gonna get. It's just, it's no good. It's no
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so that is again all I do with my all of my time right now is worry about Europe. I genuinely think that after my honeymoon I won't have a personality again and I'm nervous.
You'll find
Uh
something. Don't worry.
I'll find something new to fixate on. It'll be
Football will be shortly after. You don't have too long to wait before preseason starts.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, like I had Olympics and then I
Mm.
had the wedding and now I have the honeymoon. And if I don't get pregnant on the honeymoon, I genuinely don't know what I'm going to focus on. So
You can come back to your books.
that's true. I mean, I'm
You
still
won't be done
reading.
with SJN by then.
No, no,
But you'll
may.
probably be close. So like
I'll
if
be
you're coming
close.
up,
Yeah,
that'll be your like
yeah,
hyperfixation of what are you gonna look at after you know everything and all of
yeah.
the research you're gonna deep dive.
That's true.
So
It's true.
that'll be
Yeah,
good. That'll hold you over to football surely.
I hope so. Yeah. And the new school year when I'm teaching 5 classes and I actually have to be focused on 5 different like
Mm,
classes again. Because this
sure.
year was like really easy compared to what I've taught in the past, and next year I go back to like when I'm used to teaching. So I'll have to
Yeah.
like actually put energy in.
Don't worry, you've already planned it.
That's true. How are you?
Um, I thought I was gonna have something to say and then I don't know that I did. So it's fine. What did I do this week? Surely I did a thing this week. Like it's we haven't talked in a week.
Yeah.
But I, for the life of me, cannot seem to place anything that I've done, which is fine. I've read books.
Yeah.
I only have 2 bookmarks left on the Goodreads challenge this year. You know how they have you've got to
Yeah.
read a book from these different categories. I have my rainbow read left, which I'm reading Flirting Lessons by Jasmine Guillory.
I don't know
Um,
what my bookmarks are. Oops,
well,
that's the
I
wrong
can
one.
tell you what they all are. There's Heritage. They're all the same. Like this is the Goodreads challenge for everyone. So
Yeah,
you
but
have the
like
Heritage, which is
I don't know if my Goodreads had told me what I need to read.
you have to go search for. It
Mm.
doesn't just tell you.
No, I know, but
I
like in the
deep dived
Goodreads, like
into.
when I click on the like reading challenge, it's just about how many books I've read, not what kind
So
of books.
there's a different button. Let me walk you through this.
Okay.
Um, so you go in your Goodreads, and
My
then you go
my
to
Go
your
my internet
reading
has decided
challenges.
internet has decided that there we go. The Goodreads
Oh,
here we
maybe
go.
it's easier to see on your app because you
I
have the
don't have the
challenge
app.
details. Oh, well, that might be your problem because it should
So
be under reading challenges.
I just okay, hold on.
So basically, the
Let's
first 3 are read two
reading
books.
challenges. Okay.
Did you find it?
Yes, I found it. I have 3 of 7 achievements collected.
So you have the 3 where you read the number of books you're supposed to read, probably, because it's 2, 3, and 4 books during a quarter.
So I have the page turner, which is
Mhm.
finishing 2 books. Then I have speed reader, which is the 3. And then I have book boss. Oh yeah, which is the 4. Okay.
Yeah, so then there's the Centennial Picks, which is read the number 1 book from one of the last 100 years.
Uh,
And so that's why I read Hill House finally, because I was like, it's
mm,
already on my list. And then Armchair Explorer is like an exploration title or something. But I read The God of the Woods, which I finished. I don't know if I finished that last time we talked, but I have finished it now. And then Heritage Reads is an Asian and AAPI author. So I'm reading Ministry of Time, which I'm reading from Red Book Clubs anyway. So it just
yeah.
happened to be on there. It was convenient. And then the Rainbow Reads, which is for obviously Pride Month. And I'm reading the Flirting Lessons. So I'm about probably a third of the way through that book, and I've just started the Ministry
The
of Time.
problem is these 100 books, I've already read so many of them.
I know I had that problem too on those. I was like, I read a lot of these, and so I was like, maybe I'll just read one of these like novellas, like just really
Oh,
fast
but you
because
know
I've already
what?
read a lot of them.
Fourth Wing was the number 1 book in 2023, and I'm currently reading that, so I'll be fine.
So you'll get that one off, yeah.
I'll get that one because I'll finish it before June 30th. I'm halfway through.
Nice. I also started Golden Couple this week, which is for my book club, not my other book club. And I started this book ages ago because it's Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, and I love them as a writing duo. I've read all of their books, but this one and one other that I think is newer.
Mm,
Um, and me and Rachel and Nick started this as an audiobook on one of our drives to Monroe. I
okay.
could not have told you that. I have now read 50 pages and none of it means anything to me. I was
Love
like,
that.
you could have asked me what this book was about, and I would have never told you this was the story. Um, it's great. I'm very much enjoying it. I have no recollection of the first time listening to
Nice.
at least 2 hours of it. Um, so that's me. I'm just reading. I'm still kind of recovering, but I've been doing lots of stretches and
Okay.
trying to sleep like a normal person. And so I'm less sickly this week than I have been, which is nice.
That is
Um,
good.
yeah, inconvenient since I have a lot of things I have to do today. But we're doing. I'm also grading the bar prep essays for Themis, which is I do every exam.
Yeah.
But I'm grading for like master students this time too. So I'm like LLMs, which is small master basically.
Yeah.
And I've never done that before, and so they have extra essays, which is fine.
Okay.
Um, but one of the kids is like, I'm sure he's not a kid. He got his law masters. But one of the students, he turned in three on Friday. And I was like, you are supposed to spread these out. They don't have to be really spread out, but like, I'm gonna guess like at least one of the ones you turned in wasn't due yet. Like, I don't know what the schedule is for the LLMs, but it's different than the regular.
Yeah.
Um, but like 5 people turned it in for the first week, and then I had 15 this weekend. Like, I need to grade them within 2 days of receiving them, so I have to grade a lot of them today,
That's
which is
rude that
fine.
he sent you three at the same time when you have 2 days to grade them. Sir.
I know. I know. I was like, and like two of them were probably due this week. So like, fine, send me the two that were due this week on the same day because you did them the same day. But like, you didn't just send me this third one that probably wasn't due yet.
That's a thing though. I gotta say, fuck kids. Because I mean, and college students and all that. Because like I'm real confused as to why you think that just because you did it, I am immediately ready to grade it.
Right. I
I'm
mean, that
I'm a
is what like
human being.
Demas's whole like system is. They're like, we have the fastest turnaround time and the best grading system, which is true. Um, so it's fine. Like Barbara, you have like 5 to 7 days to grade it when they submit it. And which is real annoying to people taking Barbary like me.
Yeah.
Um, and they don't alert you once it's graded. I didn't realize. I think they used to because I submitted 2 essays, which I submitted earlier than they were due because they don't have a real due date on Barbary anymore. But they were like a week apart. It wasn't like
Okay.
submission. And Barbary, the same grader doesn't grade the same students the whole time. They are just like, these essays are done. Here's 5 essays for you to grade this week.
Yeah.
Like, but like Themis, like I have 23 students and they are the same ones I'm grading until they take the bar. So like they all come to me when they submit. But these
Right.
like just they're sent to random people based on, you know, however many were submitted that week. But they didn't tell me and I like couldn't find it and I went to look and I was like, it says it's completed, like I've said I've submitted it. I like emailed them and I was like, hey, I submitted this one like 2 weeks ago. I was like, I don't know what the turnaround time is. I did because my friend grades for Barbary and I asked her.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know what the turnaround time is, but I don't see it graded. She's like, oh, you just have to go back to the one where you submitted it, click on it, and then you'll see their notes if they've graded it. I'm like, so you want me to just go check back every day to see if they've graded my work? That you don't like they have a messaging system in the like program that you
Yeah.
can literally hit submit. I get an automated message that says your essay was submitted, was graded. Demas
Weird.
does that. I'm not trying to hate on Barbary. I am a little bit, but like
Yeah.
anyway, so that's what my life is consisting of today. So because I'm a little up in arms, can you give me a little bit of a encouragement
Maybe.
or heighten my anxiety, whatever you want to do?
Yeah. Okay. So sometimes even the best of us make rash decisions. Bad decisions. Decisions we pretty much know we're going to regret the minute, especially the morning after. I mean, maybe not regret, but at least, we put ourselves out there. But still, something inside us decides to do a crazy thing, a thing we know will probably turn around and bite us in the ass. Yet, we do it anyway. What I'm saying is, we reap what we sow. What comes around goes around. It's karma. And any way you slice it, karma sucks. Like I was saying, payback's a bitch.
What season is this?
Season 2.
Is this when she slept with McDreamy for like the post time after the
800th
bar?
time. See, season 2, episode 19, Grey's Anatomy.
I don't remember when they actually ended up getting together.
Um, let's see what happens in this episode.
And normally I would put a spoiler, but you have to really have tried very hard to not know that they got together.
Oh, that's when George and Meredith have sex.
That was a great episode. That was wild. Bless his heart,
Yeah.
George. Poor George.
Poor George.
Well, today, um, in other bad decisions news, we are talking about Clarice, season 1, episode 10, Motherless Child. Which, because I slept for 2 hours and then watched This Morning at 7, I had to read that title 7 times. I was like, what does this say? I kept
Yeah.
reading Childless Mother. I was like, that is not what this says. And then I was like, yes, 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 yes. Everything makes sense.
Yes.
It does track. It's just hard to read at 7 a.m. No sleep. It aired June 3rd of 2021. Um, did I push record? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's telling me that this meeting is being recorded at the top, and it usually only does that once. That's why I
Oh.
got confused. Anyways, sorry. And it was rated 7 out of 10, which is higher than last week.
Mhm.
Just fine, I guess. Our number one
I did
song is
actually like it better than last week.
You
So,
are really on par with like these raters.
yeah, which I don't
And
know
I
what they
am
are.
wildly off the rails with them. I seem to just disagree every week with
I
what
mean,
they've done.
I didn't love the episode, but I liked it better than last week. So I guess,
Mhm. Which is fair. That's fair.
yeah.
Uh, the number one song is Butter by BTS. I do recall when this came out. Um, the number one movie was The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which I'm hoping this is my year to watch all the Conjuring movies for October. It's like the
Absolutely
one
not.
horror series that I have. Well, that's not even true. It's the one horror series I've been trying to watch for years that I haven't actually made it through.
Right.
There are
I'm
plenty that I
sorry.
could
What
add to
week
the
was
list.
this? June. You said
Third.
June 3rd. Okay.
Mhm. Um, the number one book was While Justice Sleeps by Stacey Abrams. It was fiction. I only look at the fiction list. I
I I
always forget she's an
also
author.
I also only look at the fiction list.
Yeah, I don't have it in me to fight with anyone.
Yeah.
So I always forget that she's an author though, but it makes sense because literally everyone who's a lawyer stops being a lawyer and becomes an author. I mean, she didn't, obviously, she went into politics, but like everyone, I've been listening to so many author podcasts, and it's like, yeah, I quit being a lawyer and I wrote these books. They're like, oh, that's why you know this character in your book who's a lawyer so well. It's like, yeah, we just know how to write long-winded stuff and tell a story. That's what lawyering is about.
That's what lawyering is
Mhm. So on this day, this was the first time 100 years later, that Tulsa apologized for the 1921 race massacre. Um, I remember this because it was 22 when I went to Tulsa and they were like having that annual thing about it. So I think I went the second week of June. So like they had just like wound down everything. Um, Duke's legendary coach, Mike Krzyzewski, announced his retirement. So his last year was 2022, which is why Duke lost this year from March Madness. Oh, that's probably not true. I'm really up in arms about basketball lately, and I've never once cared about basketball in my life um, until this year, I guess. And this was also the year that Bob Baffett or Buffet, it's Baffet, it's Baffett, was suspended from the Kentucky Derby after the horse was found to have been drugged. He didn't pass
bad.
his drug test. And I do vaguely recall this, and I don't care about the Kentucky Derby, but it's just such like a funny thought to be like, we're giving the horses steroids. It's like, it's not that serious, bro. Like, it is for them, I get it. But like, I don't know. It's just a
Yeah.
wild thought to me.
I don't know what I did. I think a lot of things happened on that day. I'm pretty sure that was the day that I Renee got bit by a squirrel. Um, but the only videos I have of pictures or anything on my phone are of me and Monica watching Kolchak because it was when we were trying to do the thing where we actually watched ourselves watching the episodes, and
Mhm.
that lasted really long for the podcast. So
Yeah, like one episode.
it lasted a couple episodes. The problem was then I fired Monica, and you and I don't live in the same place, so we can't like
That is true.
watch ourselves recording, like we're watching things. So, but yeah, so I was watching Kolchak, and Renee got bit by a squirrel.
You know, we could still do it on the Zoom. However, we do not have time
We do
and our
not have
schedules don't
time, and
line
our
up.
schedules don't line up in a
But
way to do
if
that.
they
Yeah,
did, we could still do it on the
yeah,
Zoom. So maybe in a future time when we
maybe.
both have free time in our lives.
It's also better.
Um,
It's more interesting when it's a show that we both don't know what's going to happen.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Which I guess technically is threes,
yeah, but that's not good.
really we
It's
know
not
what's
worth
gonna
it.
happen.
This is me
Um,
watching Clarice. Oh, oh, yeah.
it's it just is what it is. Um, yeah, I was spending my first summer in my Manhattan apartment this summer, and it was dreadful.
Dreadful.
But yeah, that's what I was like. Oh, I'm gonna die. And I learned that my AC unit was from the 1800s or something. I don't know. And my filter was like really jacked up. And I like my landlord, his son was like lives in the building or whatever,
Yeah.
and like came over and was like, I don't think they make these filters anymore. And I was like, what do I do then? Like how do I handle this? Because only half of my air would blow out of the unit.
Love
You can't in
that.
winter, so you didn't experience that.
I did not know.
Um, what a good time. what a what a New York life. Um, our director is Christopher J. Bird. I got a little concerned we'd already talked about him because the first thing that started showing up about him was Hannibal everywhere. And I was like, how do I not know who this is? Because he was the second unit director for majority
Oh,
of Hannibal. So we didn't actually talk about him.
right.
Um, he is known for Foundation, American Gods, Star Trek Discovery, and Hannibal.
So
Um,
unsurprised that that's his credits.
right. He currently is a freelance director for Marvel and Paramount. He's still in Star Trek. It looks like he might still be working. I think American Gods ended, but he worked with it through the end.
Okay.
Um, but like everything else he's doing, it didn't give a show for Marvel. It was just like freelance director Marvel. I found his LinkedIn. That's what happened.
Got it.
And then he is also apparently a lifelong carpenter. If you look at his bio, that is the first line in his bio, which I found interesting.
Love that.
Um, and he actually went to school to be a high school teacher and then did this
Did it.
instead. Yeah. So our writers are all the same: Jenny Lumet, Alex Kurtzman, William Harper, and Tess Leibowitz. Our editors are Elena Maganini, who we've already talked about. Um, our star of the week, guest star of the week, is Maria Ricosa, who plays Lila Gup, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
She is known for The In-Laws, Searching for Bobby Fischer, Warehouse 13, and the 1996 Goosebumps. I did have to
Okay.
look it up to just say Goosebumps, and I was like, which one? Because I don't remember her in the movie. But I haven't watched the David Schwimmer one
No,
because
me either.
it was too dark and I couldn't see it on my TV screen. So I had to try again, like at night. I did really like the Justin Long season, though. That was, I mean, it's cheesy and nostalgic. Like it's not like this is a hit new
Yeah.
show, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Um, so she's in the original. She's also an acting coach. That's what she does with the majority of her time. So her roles aren't really like that big.
Okay.
Um, she most recently has worked on Tiny Pretty Things on Netflix as an acting coach. Um,
Okay.
her most recent lead role is The Strain, which is a show that we've tossed on
Talked.
around a bit.
Yeah.
Um, and she started her career at Second City in Chicago, which I've been to. It's really fun. And then she moved to Toronto and joined the Stratford Festival Company, which
Hmm.
I found interesting, but kind of backwards. I feel like most people
Yeah.
start in Toronto and move here. I mean,
Well,
Stratford
I
Festival
guess,
Company's like big, like,
yeah, and I guess
you
it
know,
depends on what your like what your jam is because like
yeah,
the Stratford Festival in Toronto is a probably the best place to do Shakespeare outside of the
right.
UK. So like if
But
that's
she
what
didn't have a lot of Shakespeare credits. That's the thing.
but I mean, but if she's an acting coach, like maybe Shakespeare
Yeah.
is her jam and she just doesn't have anything like documented. Like, because,
Well, it has like testimonials from like the people that she's at acting coaches with, and
yeah.
it's mostly the most recent stuff is mostly like Netflix shows.
No, but I mean, like, she might have done Shakespeare and it's just not like on a bio online because it's
Oh, I
like
see.
in
Yeah.
festival shows in Stratford. And like, if you actually
Yeah.
like dug up her acting resume that she like published herself, it might be there,
Right.
but it's not big enough to be like on IMDb or Wikipedia.
Yeah, that makes sense. And she also, I did find her Instagram, and it looks like she does like street photography in her spare time.
Love.
Like she just does everything. And she has done theater, it says, obviously. I mean, I guess I feel like it'd be weird if you didn't do theater if you went to Stratford
Yeah.
Festival God. But like so she's just done it all. Um so
Love
then
that.
we start our episode with bingo numbers floating around.
That
And I
was
was like,
real weird.
and after I like did my research, I was like, was Christopher J. Bird the one that did all the weird stuff in Hannibal? No, he was mostly in season two. He was not really in season three.
Okay.
So it
So,
was not his decision to do the weird
as,
visuals. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it was very strange. And we see, and I guess it's in a church. I assumed an old folks home, but who am I to
Oh,
guess?
church bingo halls are like super
Well,
normal.
see, we have bingo halls here that all the church will go to, but our
Mm,
churches are so small that we don't have like the
right.
bingo halls at the church.
No, the bingo halls are like at the church up here.
Hmm. Oh, that's true. You go to them. You go to them frequently.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, ours are not. They're separated. Um, so so Catherine appears to talk to Lila, who's just minding her own business playing bingo, and she's like creepily staring at her. And then she's like, "Can I play two bingo cards?" And I'm like, "I've never been to a bingo hall. I've played bingo many times in my life." But like, yeah, girl, that's like
You
real,
pay,
real common
you pay for
knowledge.
as many as you can afford and as many
Right.
as you can watch.
Yeah, and that's what Lila was like. You can pay for or you can play as many as you can watch. And I was like, they probably don't care if you watch it or not, as long as you pay them money. Like ideally for you, you want to be able to keep up with them, but like
Yes,
the hall itself probably doesn't care how well you pay attention as long as you pay them their money.
correct.
Um,
100%.
yeah, and so Lila's also like, you look really familiar, like, and she was like, oh, I've never been here before. She's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She was like, no one
Got
as pretty
that.
as you has shown up here. Like, obviously, you have been here.
Part and she says that people around here aren't that pretty, but also like, girl, you have no idea what's happening here. You've never been here before.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to ask how Vico works. Like, yeah. Um, and Kat's not paying attention at all. She's like, can I play two cards? And she's like, sure, if you can pay attention. And then she doesn't pay attention to them. I'm like, you are way too obvious. Like, I understand you're dealing with trauma, but like, no one has ever been as obvious as you are about anything. Um, and then we pop back over to Viscount, and we learned that Julia has gone to meet with our little FBI team, and she recognizes everyone on the murder board immediately. She's like, I work with all of these people. And she's like, specifically, I talked to him last night. Like, she's like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Um, and Clarice in her fashion of just saying things all the time, um, and not really holding a conversation. is like talking about all kinds of things. And then Julia's like, this is really tough. Like, it's hard for me, and I'm only doing it like for 30 minutes today. Like, why do you even do this? And she was
Yeah.
like, I can't dance. I was like, that is fine. That is your temptation, but
It was not a good one though.
it's not great. It's not great humor. And then we kind of, as it unfolds, we learn Julia's like in deep with them. Like she is giving them, we knew she was giving them all the files, but she is like helping them like parse through the files and be like, this doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. I remember this and this isn't right from here.
Yeah.
Um, and Clark is being a little shady. He's like, should we trust her? Like, do we know we can trust her? And everybody's like, oh, why are you being so mean? Like, and I'm like, you literally just pulled in a person off the street from the company
Right.
you're trying to take down, who's already killed people, and you're not even gonna question?
Yeah, no,
Like,
I'll be honest, I didn't understand why they were so assuming that Clark was being prejudiced.
no, I was like, I'm so in with Clark. Like, why haven't you
Yeah.
shown her all of our like even when you have a CI, you don't show them your hand.
Correct.
You take their information and you learn from them.
You don't take them into the secret red string tunnel room that you're hiding from your bosses.
Right. The secret lair murder board, that's not what you share with them. Not even a little bit. So, no, Clark was the only one who even made sense here. The rest of them, I'm like, you're all super dumb for FBI agents.
Yeah.
Um, and so then we pop over to the AG's house and Paul is there. And they've called Clarice and told her Catherine's missing. And they're like, do you know what the heck's going on? Like, do you have any ideas? And Clarice is like hesitant, which like, girl, just what are you doing? And then
Right.
she's like, well, did you look through her stuff? And I'm like, just say it. Like, why are you running in circles? And she's like, well, Catherine found Bill's mom. And everybody's like, why didn't you tell us this before? And she's like, I was keeping confidences. Girl, you're an FBI agent. This is a case you worked. You go, and Ruth even says, she's like, y'all aren't friends. And I was like, correct. Not that Ruth is not making them that way.
Right.
She's
No.
not the one to say that, but that is the correct information to be said.
Yeah, I mean she's wrong. She's horrible
Right.
and wrong and terribly treats her daughter terribly, but like
Yeah,
you forced this trauma bond on them and now are upset that they
absolutely.
bonded.
Yeah, no, this is your fault. But you are correct that they are supposed to be friends. So, duh, duh, duh. So Clarice is like, I'm gonna go through everything I can find, and she knows that she's gonna have to go through all of the like evidence from the Bill case. And I'm like, there's gotta be a better way, but fine. You do you. And she goes and asks Ardelia to help her, and she's like, you're the best at this, obviously. Can you please help me with this? Ardelia's like, I'm busy. I have to go file this complaint today for the coalition. And she's like, it's about Bill. And I'm like, way to like kill your friends. But also like it is what it is, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Everybody sucks at this
so
point.
yeah. So Ardelia does go with her. I'm so sorry, my laptop is dying, and I told myself it was gonna die before this episode started, and then promptly forgot that I had noticed that. So I have to climb over my chair. Ah! But what's happening? Ah, okay. Sorry about it.
All right.
So she guilts Ardelia into going with her, but Ardelia's like, fine.
Ooh, your microphone just did
Oh my
something
God.
weird when you plugged in.
Getting this another time when I was plugging them, unplugging
There
them.
we go.
All right, we're back in business. Anyways, so Catherine shows up at Lila's house now because she's stalked her down. And she's like, I need to talk to you about your son. And Lila immediately like assumes she's a like reporter because obviously like what else would you assume? Um, and then
Yeah.
we go to Clarice and we kind of go back and forth a lot. And Clarice is having all these like flashbacks of killing Bill. as she's going through the case and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And Lila goes to shut Catherine out and slams the door in her hand. And then she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to hurt you. Like, but I don't know why you're here. It's your own fault. And I was like, yeah, girl, it's your own fault. Go home.
Go,
Like, you try to
go
break into someone's
home.
house and they crush your hand, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Um,
There is,
but
in fact, no charges you can press because you shouldn't have been there.
correct. And so she like comes out to talk to her to be like, are you okay? Like, I can't believe you've done this. And
Because she's
she
not a
shoves
terrible
her.
person. Yeah.
Right, because she's not a terrible person. She's just got a lot going on. And Catherine shoves her and hits her head on a rock. And I was like, oh, she's dead. Great. That's good. That's good for her.
I'm so glad that this is where we ended up.
All right. Yeah, this is gonna go well. And then we get the credits. Just what a time. So then we come back from the credits, and Catherine is dragging her inside. Like she's already a dead body. I was like, Jesus Christ. Um, and then we have like Clarice recapping everything that happened and going through everything. We flash back to Catherine, who the phone rings, she cuts the phone line. Because I guess if she's gonna be a criminal, she's going all the way in, like, may
Yep.
as well. Um, and then Clarice and Ardelia found a tape of Lila doing like pageants and stuff. And we learned that he didn't really grow up with her, that he actually was taken away from her when he was two. Um,
Yeah.
but he has this tape that they said that it was like run so thin that it had been played like way like a gazillion times. Um, and then Clarice, like some of these statements this episode, she's like, "Oh, we always end up going home." And then it takes him another like 5 minutes to figure out that like obviously Lila has gone home because she has nowhere else to go. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, homegirl. Um, so Clarice finds the family home. She's got it under another name, Lila Kitty. But it was Thomas Gum owned the house before, so it's obvious that she's the right person. And
Yep.
because neither of those names are like super common. Um, and Clarice is like, I'm gonna go. And Map's like, you know I can't go with you. It's just like
I
totes
know.
fine. And Ardelia's like, as your friend, also gonna tell you you shouldn't go. Like, I'm not gonna
Right.
go because I can't, but you also shouldn't go.
Should not. Yeah.
Um,
We should stop making the dumbest decisions ever.
right. So we go back to Lila's and Catherine's just like begging Lila not to die. She's just sitting on the floor. She's like, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die. And I was like, that's not helpful. That doesn't do anything. I don't know what you're doing. Um, and then Clarice calls Ruth and Paul to tell them the information she has. She's already in a car. Not the one I thought she was going to be in, but she is in a car.
Yeah.
And she's like, I should go. And Paul's like, absolutely not.
You should absolutely not go. No.
And Paul immediately tries to talk her out of it. And she's like, hey, Ruth, this is your call. Do you want me to save your daughter or not? And Ruth, of course, okays it like a
Yeah.
moron.
Because Ruth
Um,
is stupid. Everyone is stupid.
Everyone is so stupid. Um, and Catherine has gone to the bathroom to look to see what's in there for anything. And when she turns around, Lila has gotten up and has a gun. She is like back in action real fast from this head wound.
Yeah, that was a little
Um,
much.
yeah. Um, and then she has finally realized who Catherine is. And Catherine has a breakdown. She's like, I can't get rid of him. He's absolutely everywhere. She's like, except here, which doesn't make any sense. And it's like, because he was never here. Like, that's the whole point. He didn't live here. He didn't grow up with Lila. Like, he's a different person.
Like, girl, you need to
Um,
get it together.
yeah. And she starts talking to Lila and she's like, he left us both behind. Like, he tried to kill me, but like now I can't get it out of my head and he left you and all this stuff. Um, and we learned that Bill's dad just like dipped. He was a guy that was like promoting or like managing Lila in her acting career. I don't know if they actually clarified what his role was, but he was basically the Ike to her Tina, it seems.
Yeah.
But then she went for a Van Johnson film, she said, which is what I looked up, and I didn't know any of the films he had done, but he passed away in 2008. But he had a very big array of films. They just weren't anything that
Okay.
I like recognized.
Okay.
Um, and she's never worked in a Van Johnson film, so I looked that up too. I was like, maybe she like did a Van Johnson film, they're friends. No, not that either. Um, so it's just a wild call. But she like went in for an audition and she was like, I was only barely showing, but they immediately like rejected me. And that's when he left. I was like, that's a bummer. Sucks. Sounds
Yeah.
like Hollywood though.
Right.
Um, and so she's telling her all this, and she's just like, this is just how is. This is just how men are. This is, you just get your heart broken. Nothing is good in the world. And she tells her, she says, go home to your mom and have her tell you about the facts of life. She like, you clearly never learned them because you're a spoiled rich kid. Like, you need to go learn what it means to be alive.
Right.
Which is fair. Um,
I mean, a little
and then
harsh, but probably not completely unneeded.
I mean, this girl broke into her home and busted her open. So it feels a
Oh,
little light for what she could have said.
true. True, true, true.
um, and then we also learned that Lila won bingo. She's like, I've never won anything in my whole life. Um,
Which
and
is
she keeps
so
getting,
sad.
it's so, oh my gosh, this poor woman. And she keeps getting closer and closer to Kat as she's like talking her through things. And Kat just like barrels at her and like knocks the gun out of her hand and takes it and knocks her to the ground. And she starts yelling about skin cream. And so we learn, which was pretty obvious, but we learn when she goes into the bathroom and the cream she sees is the lotion
Yeah.
that Bill was like put on your skin or whatever. Um, and then Clarice arrives by herself as she does it. I hate this girl. I hate her so much. Like, I get that we have 3 more episodes left. I probably shouldn't hate her yet, but God, I hate her so
I
much.
know.
Um, and so then she walks up to the door, sees the blood on the rocks, and drives off. And I was like, that is so out of character for her. Like, she's not one to be mindful. I mean, maybe we're showing growth. Maybe we're showing that she's growing.
No, I specifically thought she was doing it to sneak around to the back.
Well, I thought so too, but like I felt like if you would have put her in the first episode, she would have just broken down the door or like kept banging until someone let her in. Like she's not very good at being like mindful in the sense of like I need to do this the way that's safe for everyone. She's a little more act now
Yeah.
and figure it out later type.
True. True.
So then we go to ViCap and Julia is still there, and this is where she's pointing out more discrepancies and
Julia,
we
you mean?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what I said.
You said
Um,
Joanne.
yeah, I'm just saying some stuff. Julia, and we also learned that Joe is getting a really big cut as an attorney, which is not typical in this situation. He's getting like $10 million. dollars.
Yeah.
So that's also a red flag. And Clark is just staring at her. And Julia goes off on him. And she's like, you have all these questions, you want to know all these things about me, and like start saying some of the like transphobic things people come out with or questions that you really shouldn't ask people that they ask. And he's
Yeah.
just like, I wanted to ask if you dyed your hair. And I was like, what is happening? Like when he first said that, I was like, is he trying to like play off that he feels uncomfortable? I was like, but did I feel that way? So I was like, I
No,
don't really know what the angle
it
is
really
here.
felt like he was like fixating because it reminded him of his sister and he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
It
Well, I meant
really,
before he explained it,
oh
I was
yeah.
like, I don't understand what this question is. Like, I don't know if he was like thinking something else. I thought at first that he was like, I really don't trust her here and I really don't understand why she's here. But obviously, I can't say that, so I have to come up with something else to say.
Oh yeah,
That's
no.
what
Then
I
when he
thought.
explained it, it's like, oh God, this
Yeah.
poor man is just so fucked up.
Yeah. Because then he goes to tell us that it's actually the hair is the same color as the hair dye his sister used growing up, and that she bought all of these boxes and then she never got to use them because she was taken. And he explains it. This is the first time he said it like in front of like Escobar and stuff too. And even though we know he knew. Um,
Yeah.
and he gives this whole story, and Julia's just like, oh, like, my bad. And she's like, it's my natural color. He's like, huh, well, it's beautiful either way. And he's like, so I'm gonna go get a snack or something. Coffee, I'll be back. I was like, poor Clark. Um, and then she just looks downtrodden. And Esquivel's like, are you okay? And she's like, I feel like you're asking me to burn my entire house down while I stand inside of it. And he's like, the house was already on fire before you walked in the door. And I was like, these dialogue choices, they're fun to say. They're fun to come up with like little fun words and ways of doing things. However,
However.
this is the style of the show. Pick a different show. There are plenty of shows that this stylistically would have fit into.
Correct.
It's not this.
Nope.
I'm sorry. You've created the show and you have not made it that way. That is on you.
Yeah.
Pick a different show. Because like if this
Yeah, but it's a
happened
different
in
show every
Hannibal,
week. Every week
yeah.
is a different show. I don't know what I'm watching.
But like I could have seen Hannibal having this dialogue with like Jack or with Will, and like it would have sounded
Yeah.
like it would have made sense. This not here, not here. Um, and then we go back to Paul and Ruth, and Paul is just like going off on Ruth. He's like, you have been doing these backdoor deals for years, and I know I've been a part of it, but now we're just putting more and more like people at risk. Like this is not good for anyone. And we learn that like she also had like quote unquote released a maniac. And I guess I don't know if I've just forgotten the history of it, but it sounds like they've released Bill.
No, 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 no,
Um
no, no.
who
It's it's when Hannibal killed the police officers in The Silence of the Lambs in the movie.
oh duh.
But they can't say Hannibal's
Right,
name
right.
because of the rights.
Oh gosh, that makes so much sense.
It's the
I was
whole
trying really
police
hard.
it's the police murder scene in Silence of the Lambs.
That makes so I was trying really hard to figure it out. I was like, why am I not connecting? Like,
Yeah.
why haven't we heard of
It's
this?
because
Because it
they have to
feels
talk around it because they
right.
can't say Hannibal's name. But that's yeah, it's the
Yeah.
police murder scene in
That
Hannibal.
makes so much sense. And it feels so disconnected from Hannibal. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel connected to the series. So but yeah, right. So that makes sense. But he's like real mad about Clarice. Um he is just like you just keep putting her in danger. And she's like, I believe in her. And he's like, yeah, I do too. I still don't want her to die. Like this isn't the right way to do it. Um, so we go back to Lila's, and she she starts kind of like confessing, and she tells like Kat, she's like, this like I lost him because I was a child. Like that was on me, but I lost him when he was 2. Like I am not responsible for what he became. And she's like, well, what is the lotion about? Like, and she's like, that was my mom's lotion. Like she didn't like it. She wore it because my dad liked it. It would give her like migraines and stuff. And she was like, but that is what that was from. And
Yeah.
she's like, he's always been disconnected.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a nice way of saying that, I guess. And at this moment, Clarice has broken her way in. And this is where we get our iconic Hello Clarice line that is the only time it's said in the actual universe of Hannibal. Um,
Yes.
so there's your trivia that's not in IMDb. I should put that in IMDb.
You
Okay, I
should.
have like 3 pieces of trivia for this episode that I know that IMDb does not. Um, and
Like the Hannibal police scene.
the Hannibal police scene, this scene, um, that's there was a couple of things, but I forgot what they were now. Um, so she tells Lila, she's like, "This is who killed your son. Like, this is who's done that." And Catherine just keeps yelling. She is just full psychotic break. She cannot get herself together.
No.
And Lila says, like she can tell that Kat's about to lose. So she's like, I'll tell you everything. She's like, just hold tight, I'll tell you everything. So go back to the AGs, and Ruth says, of course she thinks about all those officers. She keeps her up at night. She can't do anything. And then she starts talking about how like she was such a bad mother and how lively and loving and everything Kat was. She was like, someone could have been a great mother for her, and I could have been a great mother for someone else. But the two of us together just didn't work. And I'm just like, yeah, that is, I mean, I don't know that you could be a great mother for someone else. You don't seem great, but that is fair to say you were not a great mother for her.
Well, but I think it's interesting because obviously, like, not to say that Kat is someone like with special needs, but there are some people who are not bad parents by any means,
Yeah.
but given a specific criteria of
Oh, yeah.
care that their child needs, they can't provide it. And I think that it goes the same for any kind of condition, like both physical disabilities, mental disabilities. I think,
Mhm.
like, I am telling you right now, I don't want my kids to like sports. I don't want my kids to want to do sports. I don't think I can be a sports mom.
That's fair.
I just don't think, because I know myself and I know the way, like, I've seen myself at a middle school basketball game. I can't be a sports mom. I will
Right.
get kicked out
At minimum, you will
at
get kicked
minimum.
out.
Yeah. So,
Or you could be
like,
like Halliburton's dad and be expelled from the series finales. I'm not over it.
um, so yeah, so like there is probably a category of kid that I would be a bad mom to. So I get what she's saying. I don't know if I also get what you're saying about how it
Mhm.
might not just be the kid, it might just be her.
Right. Like there's definitely like you're absolutely right that it you have to have the right on both ends. Like it just
Yes.
is what it is. But she has so much like um I want to say ambition, but like that's not really what I mean. But so much like selfish to ambition, like that she wants certain things for herself and she kind of will do it anyway. And she's kind of shown that like even with her kids, she would do it with anyway, which
Oh,
is like
she's for
that's not
sure.
really great
She's
for
she's
any
Lucius
kid.
Malfoy.
Right. So like she's not really that's not a good thing for any kid to grow up with, is like knowing that they could be on the chopping block next week if it's gonna help, your political agenda.
Yeah.
And so, there might be a kid who could survive it better, but just not an ideal scenario for anyone, I don't
Yeah.
think. Um, so then we go back to Lila's, and this is where she talks about auditioning for Van Johnson, and um, we're back and forth again a lot. And Ruth is talking about how Catherine was intensely loving, and then Lila says she tried to love him. She was like, I did my best. And they're like, oh, so you hurt him? And she's like, not in that sense. She's like, not like I was abusive or anything. I couldn't handle it. And she tells the story of she was going for an interview to be like a cleaning service to be a maid or whatever. And she had it with her because she was a single mom, and he was just screaming on the bus because he had an earache and he just wasn't well. And she was like, I stopped and I got him cough syrup. I gave him cough syrup to calm him down. And then I just drank the rest of it. And she's like, I showed up at the audition. They immediately sent me away. And I looked down and realized he wasn't there. And she had left him on the bus. And so then, of course, they took him away, and she was arrested for like child
Child endangerment.
negligence and
Yeah.
child endangerment and all of this. And she was so upset because she's like, they wouldn't even let me say goodbye. Um, which shows that like she did want to love him. She wanted to be a good mom. She just couldn't handle it.
Couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Which
so
is an
her
interesting,
parents,
it's an interesting parallel
yeah, yeah,
between
her and Ruth.
her and Ruth, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
However, it's
It,
not done well. It's not
no.
made a parallel. It's just talked about at the same time as if you're somehow gonna like get that that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah. Well, and they try to do that between all three of them because they try to do it with Clarice, with Catherine, and with Bill,
Yeah, but
and
they
compare and
don't give us
contrast.
enough about
Right.
Clarice's mom and what that situation is because they want it to be a cliffhanger, and that's
Mhm.
also done stupidly.
Yeah. Like these are all things that if you want to make them your storyline, you can do it, but you have to do
Yeah,
it.
I
And
don't
they
have a
just aren't
problem
doing
with
it
I don't have
well.
a problem with any of those being directions that you go.
Right.
Just didn't do it correctly.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Um, so her parents took him in, and then she's like, oh, so they hurt him, what they do to him, and Clarice is just like, he killed them when he was 12, which is the like Emma Kemper story. For those of you who don't know, he killed his mom later in life, but like earlier he was taken in by his grandparents
Yeah.
and he killed both of them at a young age, went to jail, was eventually released, came back to kill his mom and become the co-ed killer. So like some people are just disconnected. Uh, as the show will say. Uh, so and then Clarice, after finalizing this, Lila's like, yeah, he killed him with a box cutter. And she's like, but here's the thing, like, it's not your fault. He was like, she's like, he went to live with them. You only had him for 2 years. He was bounced around like foster homes. Like, you didn't raise him. You're not the one at fault for how he turned out. And Kat doesn't care. She wants to blame him for everything anyways, because she needs to blame someone.
Yeah.
And everyone else is dead that could be blamed, I guess. And so and Clarice just keeps going and she's like, don't let him kill you twice. Which I thought was one of the better lines.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
clearly a state of mind. And Clarice just and then she kind of rips off of it. She's like, you can learn to put him down. I can put him down. Like, we don't have to hold him to this thing. And eventually Kat does drop the gun and then just falls to the floor. Um, and Clarice just like rubs her back and then takes her out of the house. And then we see Clarice telling Lila her story about how they kind of grew up the same because she also was taken away or she was sent away instead of taken away. Uh, but she was around the same age and she was like, but I didn't end up like him.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you think that makes me feel better? And I was like, that's a fair statement. Because like, so you're saying that like, even though you guys had the same lifestyle, we just screwed him up so much first that he turned out terrible and you just came out okay.
Right.
Like, that doesn't sound like a compliment. Um, even though it's not obviously not what Clarice is saying, but
Right.
so we go to Julia's house and she's having the most fun of fun girl nights. Looks like a place I'd want to hang out. A lot of candles. Don't
Yeah.
know if you noticed there are about 700 candles in this one
Oh
room.
yeah, they speaking of the house being on fire.
You're right. Your house is literally on fire. Like, I don't know what you've done.
Which, to be fair,
Um,
this show is so badly written and so heavy-handed that I wouldn't be surprised
that I
if her
probably
house, if next episode her house actually is on fire and that
yeah.
her and all her friends die.
I mean,
Because
that's what they're setting up is for her to
because
die. So
yeah, because they cannot write subtlety to save their fucking lives.
absolutely, absolutely not. Um, but in the midst of this party we're having, Clark calls Julia and him and Escobar are outside. Um, and they want her to go through it again. They're like, we're almost there where we can handle this legally, but we're just missing a few pieces.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know if I can do it again. And he's like, you know what? If you can't do anything more, you've done a lot. We're not going to put you through this. We're not going to push you. It's a big ask. And obviously, he's being a little, but he's saying it in a very
Yeah.
kind way that you probably wouldn't notice if you were being manipulated by
Right.
him. And she says she'll be in touch. And he's like, she's absolutely going to call us back. Which, like, I mean, at this point, like,
Right.
you're too far in. You may as well call them back. Um, because also that's probably even now that's probably the safest place for you is just to be with them at all times.
Yes.
So, you know,
Yeah. Move into the murder hall.
right, we'll put you in our murder basement. That's fine. Um, so then Clarice and Catherine are in the car and she's driving her back and she calls Paul and Ruth and tells them what happened. And she's like, she pulled a gun on her, but no one, like, everything's okay. We're fine. And then she's like, however, I am at the police office and I am going to turn her in because she does have to learn her lesson. Like, you cannot let these people just like, she's like, I know normally this would just get like swept under the rug, but she needs a psych eval, she needs treatment, she needs something, and
Yeah.
this is how she's gonna get it. And Ruth is obviously very anti this, and Clarice is just like, it is what it is, too late. And Catherine seems to go willingly enough, but I mean, she probably knows that she needs a lot of help, and
And yeah.
it's good for her. And then when she's turning her in, everybody's like, so did anybody get hurt? And she's like, everyone got hurt, but no one got shot. Which was like, that is truly the best of the world you were gonna get with that.
Yeah.
Um, And so she's in therapy talking about all of this, and her therapist is like, "You went in alone again," which is the same thing I said whenever she went in alone again.
Correct. Correct.
And she's like, "What is it that you want so badly? Like, why do you keep going to all these things?" She's like, "I just want to be a great FBI agent." She's like, "But does everyone else go in alone? Like, that doesn't feel like that lines up with what you're saying and what you're doing." And
But then
she's
she says
like,
my dad went in alone.
"Right." She's like, "My dad worked alone." She's like, "Oh, you said that really quickly." She's like, "That's just like you had that ready to go." Um, and then she starts talking more about being sent away, kind of like what she was talking about with Lila. And then she kind of goes back to that night and she is talking about how like her mom was like, I'm just making moves again. I did a thumbs up or something.
Oh, I don't
And
know.
she is talking about how like her mom was like almost jealous of their relationship because they had so many fun outings. And then they had this big blow up and he took her with him. And she's like, "So what happened then? Like, what did you do?" And she's like, "Oh, it was the best night of my life. We had cooked floats, we hung out, we talked about, we like did work, blah, blah, blah." And then she starts having these like repressed memories.
Yeah.
And turns out that there were her dad was stopping and talking to these men under a streetlight that looked like hella shady. And she and then the therapist basically is like, "Oh, so you've been lying to yourself for all of these years. Let's figure out what's going on." And that's where we end.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Um, I don't know. I just everything is so heavy-handed. Everything is so predictable, but not good. Like, of course, Clarice idolizes her dad, but God forbid anybody actually idolize their father. Let's make him a bad guy. Like, why?
Well,
Um,
when you're that heavy-handed, those are the two storylines you get. You get the Disney fairy tale princess who lost all of her parents at a young age, or you get the villain that they actually thought was a hero.
right.
Those are the two cliche storylines you're gonna
And
get.
it's just, but it's like everybody has to be a stereotype.
Mhm.
Everything in the show is based on fixing a problem in the world. Her dad was in law enforcement, so he's clearly actually a bad guy. Um, there's the trans storyline, there's the black rights storyline, there's the female senator who had to work her way to power by sacrificing being a mother. There's the alcoholic who is fighting for his family, like, and can't balance work and family. There's the sniper who and the military, and he can't get a real job because he can never let go of the military. There is the creepy old guy who actually has a traumatic backstory, and that we have to, and to be fair, his is the only truly interesting, believable story of the
For
seven.
sure.
And then
Yeah,
also, where did Cal Penn go? Just
I
wrote him
know.
out. Just wrote him
Yeah,
out of
he's
the
not in
fucking
this
show.
episode at all.
But he hasn't
And
been in like
he's,
the last three episodes.
yeah,
I think,
he's briefly.
like, other than stalking, ever since he finished stalking, has he been in it? Like, he's never been to the creepy murder basement. Like,
He wasn't in the creepy murder basement.
ever since we set that
Um,
up, he has. So it's been 2.5 episodes since we've seen him. Just
I
wrote
thought he
him
was in the
out.
last episode. What
Mm-mm.
was the last episode? Um,
No, because the last episode when they went to talk to Julia and there was all this stuff, like, no, they haven't literally seen him in like two full episodes.
oh, because he didn't talk to the guy from the nonprofit.
No.
Huh. Yeah. So I did explicitly notice that he was not in this one.
Yeah.
But I thought he was just minor in the other one. So I
No.
don't know. Maybe he got a better offer.
I don't know. Anything's better than this. I just think it's just bad.
Because he's also like one of the only ones that has a good character. Like even if it's, it's a little bland, you don't
He's the only one whose character isn't based entirely on a cliche.
right.
Other
And
than
he
it's him and Murray are the only two that have
mhm.
fleshed out characters.
Yeah, and like he has been the glue for a lot of this, and now he's gone and we have no glue. I don't know what the plan is for that. Because that sounds like a bad one. to just not have anything together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and I don't know, like this team works on other things, which they're not things that I've watched, to be fair. I haven't watched Star Trek Discovery. I haven't
Also,
watched
Star
like
Trek Discovery also started as a great idea that plummeted because of bad writing.
so maybe it's just this is a bad team and they
Yeah.
are just being thrown into new
Yeah.
projects constantly because I I haven't watched most of the things people are known for. They're known now for these Paramount shows, getting back to like network groups as opposed to like freelance or one-offs or we're hiring you because you're this director. No, we're hiring you because you work for Paramount. Like
Yeah.
it's so we're getting back, it's almost like we're getting back to this era that like used to be,
Yeah.
except they were a
Not
lot more particular. So like
right.
the
Like you think
directors
about it, like when
weren't
we talk about Stargate, everybody on Stargate's the same every week. It's the
Mhm.
same five directors, the same five writers, it's the same like editors. If you actually go in and read the whole production team for every episode, it's the same people every week.
Well, I was meaning even more like I was meaning more like old Hollywood where you have like here's Paramount, here are the people who work at Paramount,
Yeah,
here's
no, I
Warner
mean, and
Brothers,
here's the thing,
and like they all
that's
work on the Paramount shows now.
Stargate was part of the Vancouver wing of the MGM, and they all worked on the
Mhm.
same, and like, but it would be like, these are the three shows that are happening at this studio at this time. This is the team for this show, this is the team for this show, this is the team for this show, and then all of
Right.
the, and that's it. And then you move on and you're
It's not like
done.
the Stargate writers were crossing over with Degrassi. Like they're
Yeah,
not doing that. Whereas that's what we're doing now is we're putting these shows that are not in the same vein, which
yeah,
we talk about the little bit of overlap between sci-fi and horror and people that write for both. But like we're writing sci-fi, horror, or drama. Like you're doing
yeah,
all of these and you're just throwing the same people on there because they're the people you have on your staff. And it's like,
yeah.
first of all, you didn't vet your people very well because you think
No,
about like the Hollywood era, you have the big names that worked for these studios. You had the big name actors that worked for these studios. And like, and it was, I mean, it was cutthroat for a reason. It was probably not a very good situation. But
right.
like, it feels more like we're getting back to that, where they're just staying true to whoever they have on staff, as opposed to hiring out
Yeah,
for the people that fit the role.
yeah,
And it's just insane to me. And I think that's why this show is so poorly done. And I don't think all Paramount shows are that poorly done. Like, I've watched Paramount shows.
yeah.
Um, but I haven't seen any of these that have been referenced, so who's to say? Um, because I haven't watched American Gods either. I was gonna say, wait,
Yeah.
that was a CBS show. They're all the same. CBS and Paramount are together. Um,
I'm trying to find what actually since like in this new uh
Era.
era of Paramount, what is because Paramount also like owns MTV and
Yeah.
Nickelodeon and all that and so but like
And and the thing is, like, I think they do keep those separate because, like, some of
they
the
do.
podcasts let's do work for Nickelodeon, and they were just part of Nickelodeon. They were across
Yes.
Nickelodeon, but it was just Nickelodeon.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm trying to I'm just scrolling
Yeah.
through the Paramount like list of what is Paramount
Mhm.
Productions is like I have to separate it because um
It's huge.
it's huge.
I think this is the specific Paramount TV set,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine for Paramount TV to want to be like have diverse genres. That makes sense for a streaming service to have multiple genres. But then that means you need to hire multiple writers. You need to hire multiple directors. You need
Yeah.
to get people with the like know-how. Um, it's just wild to me. Um, while you're
Yeah.
looking that up, I will tell you we have a couple of deleted scenes.
I didn't watch
Um,
them.
and the first one is Matt and Garrett after filing the complaint. They talk it through, they shake hands and have a little moment. So theoretically, we were going to have a Ardelia and Garrett storyline of love, which they've kind of teased since the first or second episode, anyways.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not a big shocker, but they removed it because no one had time to write a love scene because we are struggling to finish out the story where it started. Um, and then the second scene is Paul calling Mandy and being like, look, if we fight this, I'm gonna win. Like, I have too much on you. I wish I didn't. It is what it is. I want what's best for the kids. Why don't we just handle this? And she's like, absolutely not. We're fighting it out. And it's just another deleted scene of, the Paul storyline that they clearly wanted to develop and then just didn't have time to like put together.
This is so interesting.
Yeah.
Well, because Clarice isn't listed on as part of as a Paramount Plus like original programming
Because it was released on CBS.
because it was released on CBS. So even
But
though
it
it
was
has
released on CBS, I think the first year that Paramount Plus became a big thing.
well, so Paramount Plus technically started their own original programming in 2017.
Oh, I thought it was later than that for some reason.
No. They didn't become what they are until later, but The Good Fight and which is
Mm.
and Star Trek
See, I thought
Discovery.
that was 2020.
No,
I was just behind the
The Good
times.
Fight and Star Trek Discovery both started in 17.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So it's interesting because Clarice is not classified as a
Hmm.
Paramount Plus original programming. And it's
Right.
not even classified as a co-production
Mm-mm.
or a
It was
or a
true network TV.
continuation. It was truly network TV. They just used the same team with the hopes that they could then use it as a co-production, but it was
Hmm.
so bad that they didn't.
Yeah. And also, like, I know there's a lot to be said for network TV across the board, but CBS is one of the hardest to watch anywhere because it wasn't on 91 like Paramount, so they didn't have it for streaming. If you,
Mhm.
it wasn't like it's a cable channel, but it's not like ABC or Fox or NBC cable
CBS,
channel, even though it's supposed to be.
CBS is the only, I will say, CBS is, despite Paramount Plus, CBS is
Mhm.
the only current cable network that you can go to their website and watch episodes directly on their website, no matter what your
Now,
cable. Now,
you used to couldn't, and that's
yes,
why CBS fell behind because they used to be the only one you couldn't do that on.
yeah,
And now it's flipped. In CBS, you can watch on there and not on the rest of them.
yeah.
Because I remember people fell off, especially when streaming started taking off, because people weren't watching live TV as much. And so you
And
couldn't
and
watch CBS
I can
anywhere.
tell you exactly, I can tell you what saved it. It has nothing to do with any of their scripted shows.
Mhm.
CBS's reality TV programming is the only reason they are still functioning as a cable
Yeah,
network.
absolutely.
Survivor, Amazing Race, and Big Brother are keeping the entire network afloat. Oh,
Yeah.
and there are some good shows on CBS. Like that's not CBS comedies tend to be pretty good.
Yeah.
There's not to say that
But
they
everybody's watching them for the first time now because they weren't able to watch them anywhere before.
right.
And like, so I watched, I mean, Frasier's on there, and so I rewatched Frasier through like 21, 20,
Yeah.
2021. Cheers, Ghosts is on there. Like,
Yes.
that's so they have they do have some good like sitcom comedy stuff on there.
Yes.
But yeah, their dramas always fall
But
flat.
I mean, here, I'm trying to think what is current programming on CBS? The current programming on CBS we have. Oh, I'm sorry. I lied. It's not just their reality shows. There's one other genre that is keeping them alive, and that is the NCIS franchise.
Oh, sure, 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 sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They have like 17 spinoffs now.
Yes. So current programming on CBS, we have NCIS, FBI, Country,
Mhm.
Tracker, Elsbeth, Matlock, NCIS Origins, and Watson.
So I did watch Watson. Um, uh, what did you just say? Matlock. I want to say
Yeah,
MacGyver. I was like, that's not it. And Elspeth.
yeah.
But it's a spinoff of all the Good Life stuff. I think another thing that's helping them is that they now own Showtime and they've made
Mm,
it a premium subscription. So they have all those shows. Like Showtime has really good content. Like
yeah,
you can watch it without paying gazillion. Like it's like $12 a month to watch, where everything else is like $6 without it. But you
yeah.
have to get up and you're watching like so you have Showtime, which is keeping them up because they have all the new Dexter. They have all the original Dexter. That's the only place you can watch.
Yeah,
Well,
but
you can start
I've
watching
heard the new
some
Dexter's
Dexter.
bad.
Is it?
I've heard terrible
See,
reviews.
I heard the new Resurgence was good, but I hadn't heard anything about the
Oh,
origin story.
everything I've heard about the origin Dexter stuff is that it's terrible.
I see. I hadn't heard anything about that one yet. But they have, I mean, they have the new Suits on Showtime. Is that on Showtime or is that Peacock? That might be Peacock.
That's Peacock, I think, because
Um,
Suits was originally a TNT show, so that I think
that's
is
right. That's HBO now, in case you're wondering, I think, because you can't watch the Knicks game. It's on TNT, Max, and True TV.
hmm.
And you can't watch it, basically, unless you pay, I think it was like $16 a month for like standard Max or something, which I'm not doing.
Oh.
Um, so, but they
See,
have
I think
Yellow Jackets. I mean, they have good TV shows on Showtime, and they have a
yeah.
good back catalog that's not anywhere else. So, like, that's probably helping them with their finances.
Yeah, football, reality shows, NCIS, and their online partners, though.
Mhm.
That's it.
Well, CBS, because they do Monday night, right? Monday night, no, Monday night's Fox, Thursday night CBS. Is that right?
CBS, it's CBS, all the Sunday, like
Well,
regular
yeah, but
afternoon games.
they have like everybody's on Sunday though. But like I think Monday is just Fox and Thursday is just CBS. Like I think they get the nightly slot.
Let's see,
I can't remember
football,
now though. Because like
NFL,
obviously it's across
CBS.
all networks on Sundays. Um, at least that's how it used to be. You see Monday night is
Yeah,
Fox. Although I think Monday night might be Prime Video now or something. Like one of them's
yeah.
Amazon now. I think it's Monday nights.
Well, you can
But
also
yeah.
stream just every single NFL game on Paramount Plus.
Yeah. And they're
Um,
the ones that's where you watch the Tonys, that's
oh
where you watch
yeah,
the Grammys.
Thursday night football is CBS.
Yeah, so they still have the slot for that. And I will say about Paramount, because they were the first to start streaming live, like they were the first to like have the Tonys and have the Grammys and all this, they got live TV under control a lot faster than everyone else because
Yes.
they crashed and burned in the beginning so hard because they
Oh
didn't have the capacity.
yeah,
And now everyone else is just starting to do that. They're just
yeah,
starting to do like, we're gonna have the fight on Netflix, we're gonna have this specific football game on this, but they haven't figured it out. So everyone is crashing down and
yeah.
Paramount's not because Paramount has been
Paramount
doing this
and
for a long
Amazon
time.
are the only two that live streams don't seem to
That's
be an
true.
issue.
Yeah, because Amazon's got a pretty good hold on it too. But
Yeah.
yeah, the rest of them are not good at it. So like they just figured some things
Well, but
out
here's the
faster than
thing. I
people.
think I think CBS is a good, they're executives, they're network runners, they're people who do the business end of it. Very smart.
Right.
They're writers, their creative production, not good.
Right. And that's the thing is like their business is so good, and that's why they're still afloat too. It's not the creative team because they are just throwing spaghetti against the wall right now. They are just
Yes.
seeing what sticks. And they're
Yes.
doing new shows. They're doing a lot of remakes right now. Like
Everything on
everything.
TV is a remake. Everything on TV is a remake.
Watson, Matlock, and Elspeth, all spinoffs of
Yeah.
other stuff.
Yeah.
Like
And NCIS Origins is just another NCIS.
mhm.
Like
Fire
every
Country, I think is the only like new thing, but isn't it like a sect of like one of the like
No,
FBI
no,
shows or something?
no, it's not. Fire Country is actually really good. Fire Country
Okay.
stars our boy,
Max.
yeah, Max Theriault.
Hmm.
Um, but again, it's really not hard. People watch firefighter shows just because firefighters are hot. Like they don't have to do anything
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Tracker's a new show, but it's not a new idea. It's just a new show.
yeah. Again, it's
But the
like
rest of their top shows are, I mean, Ghost, it's a spin-off of the Ghost BBC. Like,
everything on TV is not original. Nothing on TV is original. Nothing on TV is
yeah,
original. I'm
yeah,
over it.
yeah. No, I feel that.
Now that we've just like gone off
Oh, the
forever.
rails. I do have a couple pieces of trivia.
Okay.
One of the things they pointed out that like didn't ring as trivia for me, but it's because I lived in New York.
Yeah,
You can't pump your own gas in New Jersey if you aren't aware. It's considered a safety hazard, and so
yes,
you cannot pump your own gas. I learned
correct.
that driving into New York, and we were very confused at 8 o'clock
I
at
I
night.
learned that in college because one of my best friends in college was from New Jersey and she was
Mhm.
thoroughly offended that she was gonna have to pump her own gas.
Yeah, that happened with Noelle one day because she lives in New Jersey. And then Kearney Point, New Jersey, which is where most of this took place and like was set, obviously not filmed necessarily,
Yeah,
could have been, I don't know, but it was set, is where Bruce Willis and John Forsythe are from.
nice.
Um, and we did have one goof, which should have been more obvious, but honestly, I didn't care. But he calls in 12 in bingo, and that's not a bingo number.
Absolutely not.
Like
No,
12 does not fall under it.
no, and who's
So
12?
yeah. So it was just like off the walls, incorrect. And I was like, I didn't notice, but I didn't care enough to pay attention to that. So
Right.
um but yeah, so that is our episode this week. So who do you want to punch in the face?
Catherine, I guess. I don't know, everyone.
Yeah, I probably would have gone with Catherine first too. But yes, everyone also. Um So I think because you and Catherine, I'm gonna go with Ruth because she is just putting everyone in danger and she is just making all the wrong calls. And it's all like
Yeah.
for some, which I get this time it's her kid, but it's not always, and she still makes the wrong calls. Like,
Yeah.
so. And who's your MVP?
Murray.
Yeah, yeah, he's a good pick. Um, I'm gonna go with Clarice's therapist.
Nice. Also
She
good pick.
seems she seems legit.
She does seem legit. I really like her as a character. I just am mad
Mhm.
at the direction that they're taking Clarice's character, and she's the one bringing that
Okay,
out. So it's not her fault,
sure.
but
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. We've only got 3 episodes left.
thank God.
I think this was the 10th episode. Who's to
Yes,
say?
it was.
So we have 3 episodes left, and then we'll do
Which is
our
very
wrap
annoying
up.
because there's still a fourth DVD. I only
Yes,
have
I know.
I only have up to episode 12. I'm still gonna have to go back to the library again.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Is the last episode on a different DVD?
Yes, episode 13 is on a separate fourth disc. I'm gonna have to go back to the
That's the
library for a
dumbest thing.
single episode. I'm sure there's probably like special features and commentary on it, but because my library is giving them to me one at a time, I have to go back to the library for a singular episode.
That's so funny. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I did buy it, so I just have it all. But
Yeah.
um, yeah. Well, if you have thoughts, feelings, etc., you can join us this upcoming Sunday for our second part of New Order for Stargate. That is exciting. You can join us next week for episode 11. And in the meantime, you can email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we'll see you on Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.